Hello, and we're back. The organizational team from the SHIELD Global Online Safety Conference. Hopefully, Confidence will be able to join us soon. The conference was so long that we didn't think to schedule a follow up at the end. Yeah, so we're like, why don't we do a separate one and just kind of give an idea where we want to take it? And I think it's actually nice that we have 1 week later, so we have a chance to get a bit of distance from it. I still haven't recovered from my voice, as you can see, but yeah, I just want to say that I've got a lot of positive feedback and really loved the guests and the energy of the attendees. And I feel like there's so much to learn. I'm doing the videos and I'm enjoying watching them again. So I just want to ask, John, Andy, Tiffany, what were your like main takeaways from it? What hit you as being special or different?
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you, Angeline, for setting it up. And I'd like to thank all the attendees and the speakers who took part, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who made it. It would have been very boring if they hadn't turned up and spoken or attended. So big thanks out to all of those. I think for me, it was the breadth of the conversations. We had everything, and we had people from all over different areas and different countries who all brought such a level of knowledge and experience and insight into it all. And even since then, I think, so many people have been in touch with different people asking for more information. So that just showed clearly how effective it was. And listening to the people who sometimes don't get their voices heard, events, and just bringing people together. And we use the word collaboration in the conference, and I still stand by that. But I'd also like to throw in the word coordination, coordinating people together from a global level and getting them to share their insights and knowledge. We know it's happening. People have been in touch, as I say. So that was my key takeaway from that.
You do have a thing with words. I think have a really good way of finding the right word. I love that coordination. It's true. Yeah.
I'm happy to share next if that works. I agree, Andy, with what you said about just the representation from all of the different topics and also all of the different lived experiences. I learned a lot from the diversity of experience professionally, and it was exciting to hear how people were tackling this big challenge that we're trying to collaborate on. And the thing that I found really refreshing is I found it to be a really ego-less group, which even in the NGO or the social impact space it's really not the common experience, unfortunately. And so I think that it was great to have people, all of us coming together and talking about this problem, not like it's my problem to solve or your problem to solve, or this is what I'm doing and that's my thing or whatever. It's like how do we just get in a sandbox together and figure this thing out? And that was really the spirit of it, which I found to be amazingly refreshing and hopefully a model of connectivity, which I think we really need right now to get this done. Also
That's
loved
true.
hearing
Yeah.
from the young people. So the Gen Z panel I loved, and then it was really special to zoom in with our high school ambassadors from the Bronx. I thought that was super cool, and they really felt, empowered, which, you can do a lot from an empowered place as a human and especially as a young person with your entire career ahead of you.
That's true. It was great, and I'm really glad that you zoomed in. Yeah. And I did get feedback from 2 professors who had asked their students to watch that they really loved it. They really loved the energy. So that's a really good sign, and I really think that's one thing we definitely need to build out going forward. I interviewed the Gen Z and sometimes they said things and I was like, "Wow, wow," because we had been talking about all the risks of AI all this time, and it was all about risk of AI, and I asked about AI, and, like, they were very positive about AI, and I was like, "This makes sense." This is a refreshing viewpoint, so, yeah. So, John?
Hey, I'm in a coffee shop, so sorry for the background noise, but there were a few things that set this apart. I've gone to lots of conferences, and conferences are by nature pretty expensive and prohibitive in a lot of ways. So the most important thing I think was access in a world where there's prohibitive costs for a lot of things. That gave us a rich diversity of perspective for people across the globe. Typically, tech related conferences or anything dealing with online is very Western centric. So, hearing about human trafficking in Africa and how that relates to the EU and different hardships people are facing throughout many different countries, India, Bangladesh, lots of places in South America, gives a really good understanding of the implications of the technology that is often built in the Western, and the global North in that way. So that was absolutely monumentally important. The other thing is that a lot of these conferences that are tech focused have a driven narrative from corporations that pay a lot of money to have a dedicated speaking engagement about, like, for example, when we're talking about the problems that are happening with AI, a lot of these conferences, while they do get a lot of donations, they have representatives that are, there to talk about why AI is really good and why these concerns aren't as valid. So having people come together and articulate these in detail and in nuance, right? These were not conversations that are, I've been to a lot of conferences where people talk about things that you could have read, easily on a memo or something. But these were deep diving conversations that get into really nitty gritty details, such as how much you get paid to review content and the exact tracking of humans and how that is done online in the different threat vectors across different countries. These are things that boots on the ground activists oriented people are seeing on the field, which we get before there's research. Like, research bubbles up from the things that are actually happening. So hearing from the people on the field that are doing this and making it very accessible and then having a ton of nuances are really three things that I saw that made this different than, any other conference that we've had. And I'm looking forward to expanding on that in the future.
Angeline, can I jump in with one more
Yeah,
piece
absolutely.
of detail? What John just said about the human perspective, I think it's very interesting. Like, most tech conferences they're about tech. They're not about the human in the loop and the human experience. And I felt like that was like much, much needed right now. And really refreshing just to hear the humanity in the room. And instead of putting at the forefront, like, the stuff, the things, the tools, even tools that can be really useful. That isn't what was at the forefront of this conversation, which I really appreciated. Right.
That's true. Yeah, it was a thank you, confidence. It's perfect. I was just about to talk about you about first I'm gonna say what I was about to say, and then I'll ask you that what we were talking about before. We were talking about how it was so a lot of feedback about how it was really kind of diverse. And I need to thank you that you put so much effort into making sure that there were diverse African voices there. And that's one of the main lessons that I took out of this is that expanding, you have to have, people in the region or in not just region, also between like different age groups, right? Because I guess it's trust thing. You know each other. And so I just want to thank you so much because it wouldn't have been nearly what it was without your help getting the speakers from Africa. So thank you so much for that. And the other thing we were talking about is, the main takeaways, what you found special about it, what it meant for you.
Okay. All right. Good evening from here. Or yeah, good evening. 7 here. Good to see everybody. So for me, the conference was for me fulfilling. And ever since we had that conference, I've been talking to a lot of people who attended the conference from my own region and who also participated as speakers. And one of the things we usually talk about when we have our own like conferences and forums here in Africa, what we keep saying is when you go out there, I'm sorry, I have to say it the way it is always said so that we get to know what the impression is when it comes to like collaborating and connecting with people outside our region. It's always about the conversation always boils down to, oh, we went to this conference and everybody, I'm sorry, I have to just be as real and I just have to be real in what people say. Oh, we went to this conference and everybody seated there were all white faces. And when they talk, they barely saw us. And when they talk, they are talking for us without hearing from us or knowing how all these things affect us. And it's so embarrassing. And we need to do more work to put ourselves out there. So I'm someone, I'm always all out there looking for knowledge, looking for opportunities. I throw myself all out there. And every time we find ourselves, those that are very well opportune to like travel out of the country or out of the region, it always boils down to the same faces, the same people talking about us. What do they even know about what we encounter with technology? What do they even what we face? So they just sit in their spaces and try to like coordinate and regulate and tell us what to do. We need to be there. So this conference was like a game changer. And when I reached out to some of these African brothers and sisters, telling them there's a global conference happening and you guys need to be there. You need to speak out based on your areas of expertise, your industry, your profession. It was so welcoming and very fulfilling for them. We wanted to talk about ourselves and not people generating data, generating statistics, generating information on behalf of us without knowing how it affects us. And that's why when we started this, I and Angeline kept talking, and I was like, so I find it embarrassing that people like, oh, you know a lot of people. I find it very embarrassing, but I put myself out there so that I would know what goes on in the minds of my people when it comes to people outside my region. And when it comes to technology and everything about safety, trust and safety and all that. So this was one conference that was totally different. I've been talking to a lot of them and they're like, oh my God, the level of collaboration, the level of acceptance, the level of listening to us and understanding us was that they have never seen anything like that. And that's what we need. Every African, those established, those already traveling to the global north and everything, we just need that opportunity to be heard. We are tired of sitting in our own spaces. And when we sit in our own spaces, we hear like, for those who have been opportune to leave Africa for conferences and any other thing, we're like, oh, I went into that room and everybody was a color and I was different and nobody was even listening to me. We don't want that anymore. We want to connect, want to collaborate, want to work, want people to understand how this terrain, how this industry, how this space, how technology affects us. And Shift Global Online Conference made the difference. It's till date, I still have people reaching out to me till date asking, oh, when is the next one? Is it possible this can be done physically and still get us in those rooms and spaces where everybody is talking about one common thing that connects everybody together? So it was awesome. It was amazing. It was an opportunity to learn from and also learn with people beyond or don't even understand how we feel the struggles and pains. It was one conference that has done it. I, for one, I didn't even feel like I was in a conference that was virtual. I never felt I was in a conference that was, I felt I traveled out of the country to attend a conference. Another friend of mine she's based in Canada, but is a Nigerian. She came back to say, gosh, we are struggling here in Africa and this conference changed a lot of things. It changed a lot of things. We're able to learn, we're able to understand what happens there, and they were able to understand what happens here. We need more collaboration. We need more spaces to air our voices. And that's what all of us we need. Coming from the African perspective, they want to talk about these things. We want statistics, data collected over anything on technology and safety. We want it to be inclusive, to really have our data, not book information. A lot of talk about technology safety and everything is book information. A lot of people don't know what we go through here. They just like collect information via book and they put us all out there. Africa has done this, Nigeria is labeling. We want those things to come from us. We tell everybody how it affects us. People listen and we listen to them and we work together to make it happen for us. So that was the general feedback from everybody. It was healing for us. We felt accepted and we felt sorry, my power is off. My power went out. Nigeria, Africa for us.
There was so much power in what you said, confidence. That was amazing, really. It's hard to follow up because that's what we were trying to achieve, right?
I mean, we touched on it actually at the conference by saying, the online world, I try not to use the internet, but the online world is globally connected. It's been globally connected for many, many years. But there's been this well, I don't know whether oversight's the right word, but I can't even find the word to say. But as Confidence suggested, it's always been focused on certain other countries, you know. But we've got to realize, and a lot of us have realized for many years that, the rest of the world's connected and the rest of the world is having the same issues that every other country is suffering. So it's right that, well, certainly we did it in Shield and other places really should follow our suit. Start encouraging all these other underrepresented countries to come and speak, to come and be involved, whether it's on a webinar, live, invite them. You know, that these are huge populated continents. We've got to hear from them. They're having the same issues and the same problems. And in fact, I just want to point out, if I may, that actually, even though we're now saying that we've got to listen to them, I'm aware that actually some of these countries, certainly like the African continent, are actually doing a lot better than some of these westernized countries, if I'm honest with you. So big round of applause to them. We could be learning a lot from them, and people need to start sitting up and listening and seeing what they're doing and actually maybe realizing that they're doing a lot better than we are.
Good point, Andy. There are dozens of countries that in Africa that have federal privacy law, and the U.S. still doesn't. So, like, just from that, totally, you're right. Confidence, thank you for beautifully painting your experience and the experience of your colleagues. That gave me goosebumps, and
Thank you.
I'm so happy that it was successful from that perspective. That makes it worth it alone, by the way.
And the thing about it wasn't really any effort. We didn't put any effort into it. Just I even have spent the last week trying to figure out how did that happen. I can't even wrap my mind around how that happened. We had such an amazing group of people. I guess the energy was in the right place, right? Because how do we make sure this goes forward, right? Obviously, we'll have a yearly conference, but it's not just about a yearly conference. We've been discussing as much as we can in the last days about what we're going to do and the next steps, what we're going to focus on, how we're going to keep it going. Obviously, we'll have some smaller focus topics that will have little, not mini conference, little this will do, and we'll have the follow-ups for the collaboration jam in the next weeks. What about Andy? Actually, we haven't even spoken post-conference, but Andy knows all of the conversations I've been having. So, so the plans, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I would say, firstly, keep the communication going. Whether you attended or whether you're seeing a recording or you're watching this, reach out, speak. If you've got any ideas, if you've got any thoughts, okay, we organized this one, but we'd love other people to be involved in taking things forward. As we say, it's all about coordination, collaboration, working together. So reach out if you've got any ideas, you know, get to any one of us. That's number one. And as Angeline just said, we might have more talks about a particular topic. And if you would like to hear about a particular topic, whatever that might be, if you let us know, we know the speakers, we know the people involved in those areas, we can bring them in. But also share what we did with any contacts you have anywhere, whatever country, whatever they do, because the more the merrier. And, as we've said, it's all about bringing people together. We'd love to do another one. I'd like to get even more people. And I think it was quite clear that we didn't have any large companies or platforms or anybody else like that at the conference. But I am going to be honest and say, if you are watching this, if you are from a platform, come and get involved. If you want to hear from the people doing the stuff, if you want to hear from the people actually having to see and do it and what they're going through, come and join us. We're not going to turn you away. It's open to everybody. So I'd say the open message, anybody get involved and we'll listen to you all.
Angeline, I'd love to see like what's been on my mind is of course what do we do with all of this rich content that we've created and how do we, how do we help other people learn from it and stay connected? So I've had a few conversations this week with just following up from the conference and talking to people and being putting myself in a position hopefully as a connector for some people or a collaborator and just keeping that energy going. But I'd also love, as you know, as we've talked about, to have a conference of youth leaders and to just have the entire room filled with people who are going to have this is a long game that we are facing, maybe an infinite game to have the digital world cared for and regulated in a way that is safe in an ongoing fashion. And I think we need to have a lot of people lined up to lead that into their careers, no matter what fields they go into. If they have a mindset of this is now a world and society that we have to care for and we have to protect children in it just like we protect them crossing the sidewalks in our physical world, we're going to be in a different place years from now. So I would love to bring that to life at some point, with you guys.
I think we will. I mean, that's something that just because of the time, we didn't manage to get more youth. I mean, I know Confidence was working on it already to get youth, for example, from Nigeria. And we have some people who are speaking that are in other parts of Europe to get from Europe. And also, I have to point out anyone who's listening who would know people, we have missing the entire South America and most of Asia, which obviously one step at a time. But if you do know anyone in those geographies who might be interested in this kind of movement, this attitude would be well welcomed because and now we are connected on the internet and was Confidence just said it so beautifully. Just because we're connected doesn't mean it's what we get from the internet gives us an actual impression of what it is really. I mean, I talk to her all the time about the images that AI creates of Africans, and if especially with youth, Tiffany, if you start with youth, they actually connect, yeah, not via social media, however, and really understand the situation that can be extremely, extremely powerful.
Yeah, I think it's super important to hear from the youth, absolutely, and certainly from other parts, South America, Asia, the Far East. We know people, so as I say, if you know us, reach out, see how popular and how effective this conference has been, and we'd love you to take part next time. And we will reach out to other people we know. And as you say, hearing from the youth is always important because the other thing is the youth are tomorrow's leaders. And not only that, they might be the next billionaires of certain platforms. They're the ones going forward. So if we can get them on board and start listening to them now, it's super important. So that's critical to our next steps.
Each one of you, maybe you can give your statements about what you imagine going forward. I think I gave mine, but I do want to call out all of you for helping me. I did a lot of the actually nitty gritty organization of the conference. And on the days of the conference, we realized in the very first speech that the number of hosts that I had planned and organized was not going to cut it. And Andy and John just jumped in and saved me multiple times. So yeah, that was really, it felt really great. And also, as I said already, Confidence did amazing, amazing stuff to help and make sure it was truly diverse and had the different voices. And then Tiffany was the one that actually had experience with conferences. So there was a lot of things that you're like, "You should do this and this and this, just give us a checklist," and that really saved us, so I from my side, really want to thank everyone because it wouldn't have been what it was without everyone's of our contribution.
It wouldn't have been what it was without you. So thanks for taking the lead and doing all of the late night, a lot of the late night organization and Zoom setup and everything else. So it was incredible.
In 2 weeks, we're going to have our first collaboration jam session, and then we've already got some things planned in a few months' time. Will be hopefully coming out soon. And the videos, we're gonna start putting them out like 5 at a time. We're doing it as fast as we can, but we're bootstrapping, so we're doing it one after another. Yeah.
If anybody's connected to people who could fund this initiative in some ways or help sponsor it, that could go a long way. You can do more activities. All of us are very committed. We're just limited by funds, and this is very grassroots. So that level of help and connection can go a long way and be very powerful. And thank you, everybody who showed up to the live stream. Really appreciate the participation. It's really cool to hear from all the people in the comments. Thank you.
I would love to thank Angeline, John, Andrew, Tiffany for this, because without you guys, I don't know. I don't know how we'll bring in people from my region. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the opportunity given every one of us to air our voices, and not just airing our voices. We actually did participate and really did pick our minds. So I thank you guys for this opportunity. And I'm also using this opportunity to thank my fellow Africans, everybody who came in, who participated, who attended, who spoke. Truly grateful. And I'm encouraging us. We can't work in silos. We can't work in silos. Let's keep coming together, sharing ideas and collaborating. That is the only way we can at least get the solution to all we are looking for. And also, I would also want to use this opportunity as well to recommend to my Africans, especially those in the education and awareness space, that we need to start empowering more young people. If the talk coming from us adults, it's getting too much and not actually bringing out any solution, we need to empower more young people. And that's why I love what Tiffany is doing, creating leaders in this youth, in children, in young people to take up the word out, to speak up on safety, on online safety, digital safety, everything. When they are the ones leading this narrative, when they are the ones leading this conversation, I pretty sure with the energy they have in them as young people and as youth, a lot of our struggles trying to put the word out there would be reduced. Let's try to start raising a generation of young people who are truly and genuinely involved in the online safety space to speak up around technology as it concerns them. So I'm urging us to do this. Thank you very much for everybody I reached out to, who responded, who came in and made this conference happen. I truly, truly do appreciate every one of us. Thank you. And also every other person from every region who came in. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for making this happen. Thank you.
So you'll hear from us soon. Yeah, thank you, everyone. So